Today we're not going to be having an unboxing because I purchased this secondhand without the box. I came across this particular device on a freaking flea market. I think I paid around like 25 euros for it, and for that money I think we can't complain. The question remains, how good will this thing work? But first, let's clean it up. But then we have a quick sweep of everything, so everything looks a little bit better than before. But also what you need to double check if you're going to be looking into, let's say, second-hand steering wheels, that we're going to be having everything that the original manufacturer giving us, including the bracket and the needed bolt. Otherwise we cannot assemble it, because that's one of the things that always get lost. So always double check if you're going to be looking into second-hand racing wheels, besides having everything going to be needing for assembly, that is everything in good condition. So this wheel does have like the rubber at the side, and then on top we're having the hard plastic. So if there is some damage, that is not going to be a problem, but always be very careful because this can get a little bit sticky, particularly with really old wheels. So and overall everything seems to be in good overall condition. So all of the buttons seems to be working, so it's not going to be a problem at all. We're not going to be utilizing everything, of course, because some of the things are only specially for certain games. So the body port itself is great, and also double check at the back what you're going to be needing. And there is no power supply in here because this thing just uses an old school spring. So at the bottom we're finding, unfortunate, some rubber pads are missing. It's not going to be having a massive effect, but you can also get yourself something different. So this is the Thrustmaster T80 RW Ferrari 488 GTB. So nevertheless, so this thing is in good condition, but let's take a close look at the pedals. So they are just basic pedals, nothing much like with an extra clutch because you have these premium wheels. So next up we're having just the acceleration and the brake over here. So you can see there's a little bit of difference when you're going to be having the positioning. I mean, particularly when you're going to be having the spring, and man, the tension of the spring of one of them is absolutely crazy. And also I like it that we do have like a different resistance, but also when it comes to the travel, you can see actually over here. So this is kind of cool. You don't see that very often, so this is going to be an interesting. So let's assemble it. And one of the things I also did with the wheel is putting some little bit of WD-40 in it to grease it a little bit and make assembly so much better. So the unfortunate part is of the missing rubber pads, and in this case we do have the problem that we do have a little bit of wiggle going on over here. It's not like a big problem, we can tighten it up over here. The clamshell design is something that we have seen with other Thrustmaster, but also Hori has something similar. But I need to be very careful because this is like very thick, very strong plastic, but maybe due of the age, it can maybe break. So I'm going to be leaving it as it is, but let's do a little bit of chit chat about some other things. So rotation of the wheel. So this is going to be something that you're going to be hating or loving. You can actually see that that's not like a great rotation. Personally, I'm not, let's say, really hater about this, but if you want like the full, let's say, experience of, yeah, let's say the racing simulation, and you want to have like the 900 degrees or crazy like that, this is not a wheel you should actually pick, because this is one of those, I won't say like budget wheels, but you know, this is just a very fun wheel to actually start racing. But let's connect everything and let's plug it into the PlayStation 5. There we go. No force feedback. But one of the interesting things about the wheel is that normally you would say like, hey, there is a D-pad somewhere, but they actually like disguise that over here. You can just see the bleeping going on because they actually put it under the engine stop button. I think it's kind of genius when it comes to that. And this is just actually a D-pad. It doesn't utilize anything underneath so far I have seen. But let's boot up a game and let's have some fun to see how compatible this thing is also with PlayStation 5 games. But the interesting part is when we're getting into the menu of the PlayStation 5, we can actually navigate and everything works like a charm. However, the unfortunate part is if you're going to be messing with, let's say, the wheel itself, you can see I can actually go around into the menu, but there is no way of actually getting into the game. So this game is not compatible with, I'm thinking, the Gran Turismo 7. But I just wanted to try out a different game, and you can actually see in my Dutch, my native language, it says that this game is a PS5 game and it's not compatible. So none of the games are compatible with this racing wheel. So let's move on to the PlayStation 4 games then. So this is one of the things that you're going to be having with all the racing wheels. With compatibility, it is possible with some of the games to play with a racing wheel, like the Ferrari racing wheel, Yeah, you're only going to be having this with the newer versions. So still, I think if you're going to be having a PlayStation 4 and you're not paying like 25 bucks for something like this, I think it can be a very cool way to play. But let's see if the pedals even work. The pedals also seems to be working just fine. The downside is with this wheel that it feels a little bit cheap. We can just having a lot of movement of the wheel itself. So it is quite accurate. I must say that that comes with this racing wheel. I must say that I'm surprised how great this actually plays when it comes to the pedals too. Okay, we're going to be trying that again. Restart! But in this case we can only actually play PlayStation 4 games. But it's kind of cool that we can connect it with the PlayStation 5. But it's kind of weird if you think about it. We can connect the controller to the PlayStation 5, but we can have the compatibility with the PlayStation 5 games. And the same goes with the original controllers. It's actually something we have seen before. It's quite unfortunate that we do need to have like a brand new version of it, or at least like an updated version to actually have the compatibility. But I am really surprised of how well this thing actually works when it not only comes to the pedals, but also when it comes to, let's say, the steering, how accurate it is. The only thing I do need to get used to are the pedals, because the pedals, oh man, they're moving freaking all over the place when it comes to the ground, and particularly when it comes to the brake, you really need to push it down really hard because of the resistance of the freaking pedal spring. So the pedals, it's great that they went for this extreme, let's say, spring tension, but if you're going to be playing, it's not going to be comfortable at all. Acceleration is fine, but not going to be helping out my gameplay itself. But then overall, I'm surprised how well this thing works, particularly when it comes to just the steering. You see how accurate it is. It's interesting that when you're actually going to be playing this, we don't actually have the option to have a racing wheel, but doesn't matter. Let's see what's going on. So we do have the option to actually choose R2 and L2, so I'm just going to be honest, I have no idea which one to pick. And you know, let's see what's going on with this. Let's see if we can actually like use the pedals. Let's get into the game. Let's see if I messed it up. Okay. Out of the box seems to be working fine, including the pedals. Whoa, what the heck? Somebody bashed into me. Okay. There's no feedback in this freaking wheel, so... Oh. My PlayStation just froze of some kind. But also if you're going to be racing some simulation, this is just working quite well. So in this video I just wanted to check out 2 games to see what's going on. Yeah. Oh. It's for Destruction Derby, like Gran Turismo. But beside that, I must say that the overall experience is quite pleasant. I'm still fighting with my freaking brake over here and my acceleration and the stupid pedals underneath. Can I actually use... Can I use that? No. Can I use this? Oh yeah, I can use the buttons on my freaking steering wheel. I never really got into that, you know? Using buttons on my racing wheel to actually play. I can remember this really first generation that only had like a buttons on the freaking, yeah, like the wheel itself. Where with the Dreamcast we had like these shifters that you can actually accelerate. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, if you just want to play some old school games and some newer ones on the PlayStation 4, this racing wheel is just working quite well. It stutters, what the heck. What's interesting to see, you have like this tiny dot over here in the middle that showcases when you're going to be moving, and you can see there is no dead zone whatsoever. Not at all. This is really cool. The Ferrari wheel, for an older version, I must say that I'm quite surprised how well it actually works, particularly when it comes to the racing, enjoying over like some playing some old school games. So this thing is in very good overall condition. So what is really cool, that having a D-pad over here that works quite well. Needed to get used to it. One other thing I want to point out, what is absolutely cool, I didn't mention before, is like when you go looking at the shifters, a lot of budget wheels will have these plastic levers, and we do have these very nice metal ones. And this is kind of cool. We'll give this thing a little bit of a premium feel and also really satisfying click. At the back we're finding even more buttons at the back. So this thing is filled up with buttons because we can actually control the game itself. Super convenient when it comes to that. And yeah, beside that, I didn't really talk about much of this settings, but that has to do because I think it's like having the right game and the right gaming mode for it. This thing comes packed up with a lot of cool features. Unfortunate, we couldn't play the newer games, so we're actually limited to the PlayStation 4 games, but we can actually use it on the PlayStation 5. But it would be so cool to have like the option to play PlayStation 5. So in that case, we had like a super budget wheel. Thank you all for watching. Consider subscribing, hit the little bell, and it would be great to see you in the next video.